The truck driver was publicly criticized for delivering an order late, but everything changed when the millionaire noticed the teddy bear on her dashboard. It was identical to the one his daughter carried every day before she disappeared 20 years ago. The diesel engine roared as Olivia Brooks downshifted her 18-wheeler, the heavy truck struggling under the pressure of another delayed delivery. Her rough hands tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles pale against the worn leather. She was already 3 hours behind schedule, and the GPS on her dashboard kept recalculating the route to a luxury mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, a place where she felt she didn't belong. Frustrated, she muttered about traffic while glancing at the small navy blue teddy bear hanging from her rearview mirror. The toy was worn. Its color faded to a dull blue-gray, yet it had been her only constant companion for as long as she could remember. A small golden star was stitched unevenly onto its chest, and a tiny tear marked its left arm. As she approached the Whitmore estate, the scale of wealth was overwhelming. Massive iron gates, perfectly maintained lawns, and a mansion large enough to house dozens of people. Olivia felt uneasy, as wealthy environments often made her feel inferior, and she expected this delivery to be no different. She parked at the service entrance, turned off the engine, and grabbed her clipboard, the sudden silence feeling heavy compared to the engine's noise. Everything around her seemed too perfect and distant from her reality of truck stops, roadside diners, and low-cost motels. Before she could knock, a uniformed woman opened the door and immediately pointed out that she was late. Olivia calmly explained the traffic situation and mentioned the delivery from Morrison's Industrial Supply, but the woman responded that Mr. Whitmore was not pleased. Olivia, slightly irritated, noted that people like him often acted as if their time mattered more than anyone else's and asked where the delivery should go. At that moment, firm footsteps echoed, and a tall, well-dressed man in his late 50s approached. With silver hair and a commanding presence, Richard Whitmore made it clear he had been waiting 3 hours. His tone was sharp and dismissive, and when Olivia apologized, he responded with a cold remark, criticizing people like her as careless and unworthy. He looked her up and down, pointing out her work clothes and questioning her value, which caused visible frustration. Olivia defended herself, explaining she had been driving for 12 hours and deserved basic respect. However, as she spoke, Richard suddenly fell silent. His expression changed completely as he stared past her toward her truck. Confused, Olivia turned and realized he was focused on the teddy bear hanging inside. The atmosphere shifted as Richard's breathing became shallow and his hands began to tremble. The confident businessman seemed shaken as he asked where she had gotten the bear. Olivia, confused, said she had owned it for as long as she could remember. Richard moved closer to the truck, studying every detail: the faded fabric, the stitched star, and the tear on the arm. He quietly said it was impossible, leaving Olivia puzzled. Ignoring everything else, he walked to the truck and pressed his hand against the window, staring intensely at the toy. Even when the staff member asked if he was okay, he didn't respond. Olivia, uncomfortable, asked him to sign the delivery form so she could leave. That seemed to bring him back, but when he turned, she noticed tears in his eyes. He asked for her name, and when she replied Olivia Brooks, he repeated it softly before walking back into the house without explanation. The staff member apologized and completed the paperwork, explaining that Mr. Whitmore had been going through a difficult time. As Olivia waited, she looked again at the teddy bear, reflecting on how it was her earliest memory and the only constant in a childhood marked by foster care and uncertainty. She couldn't understand why it mattered to someone like Whitmore. Inside the house, Richard stood in his study, visibly shaken as he poured a drink, though it did little to steady him. The image of the teddy bear stayed in his mind, the same one he had commissioned years ago for his daughter Maddie, who had been kidnapped and never found. Memories resurfaced clearly, including her excitement when she received the toy, which she named Captain Stardust. He retrieved old files filled with reports and photos from that time, including one of her room after the incident, where everything remained except the missing bear. The night of the kidnapping replayed in his thoughts, a formal event downstairs while intruders bypassed security and took his daughter. He had paid the ransom immediately, but she was never returned. For 20 years, there had been no answers. But now, for the first time, he was faced with a possibility he had never allowed himself to believe. 20 minutes, 22 seconds file. Richard, this woman works 20-hour days, sleeps in her truck most of the time, and gives away almost everything she earns. She's either extremely selfless or trying to fill a gap she doesn't fully understand. Richard completed the thought, suggesting she might be searching for the family she lost but can't remember. Adam nodded and added that there was more. He had located her medical records from when she first arrived at St. Catherine's. The injury to her head matched blunt force trauma, possibly from a fall or being hit. He also noted that she suffered from severe nightmares about being taken from a large house where music was playing. Richard's vision blurred, recalling that the night Maddie was taken, a charity gala had been underway with a string quartet playing. He stated firmly that he needed to see her again. Adam cautioned him, explaining that if she truly was Maddie, approaching her incorrectly could cause further emotional harm since she had no memory of her past. But Richard was already thinking ahead, forming a plan to get close to Olivia, observe her behavior, and confirm the truth. 2 days later, Olivia stopped for dinner at Murphy's truck stop near Albany, when an older man in simple clothing sat across from her. She mentioned the seat was taken, but he politely asked to sit anyway due to the crowd. She agreed, noticing he appeared like a retired truck driver. He introduced himself as Rick Wilson, claiming decades of experience, and she responded with her name. Their conversation felt natural, as he asked about her work and how long she had been driving. She explained she started at 18 due to lack of family and financial support. Richard, in disguise, felt the weight of her words, but continued calmly, asking if the job ever felt lonely. Olivia glanced at her truck and mentioned her teddy bear as her companion. Richard followed her gaze carefully, controlling his reaction. She explained she had owned it for as long as she could remember and that it felt like a connection to her past. She also revealed she had memory issues due to an accident at age 7 and sometimes experienced dreams of a large house filled with music. Richard steadied himself, suggesting those dreams might be memories trying to return. Olivia finished her meal and prepared to leave, mentioning she had to reach Denver soon. Richard wished her safety, watching her leave with emotion, recognizing familiar traits in her behavior. Over the next 3 weeks, Richard maintained a double routine. By day, he remained the decisive business leader, managing high-level decisions and maintaining his reputation. By evening, he continued his role as Rick, visiting truck stops across the region to meet Olivia again. Through Adam's reports, he learned her habits, including her regular stops and routes, though she sometimes changed plans unexpectedly. Their next meeting occurred at a diner in Springfield, where Olivia joined him again, appearing exhausted from a long journey. She explained she had been driving continuously and needed a proper meal before continuing. Richard noticed her fatigue and suggested she take better care of herself, but she responded that she couldn't afford time off due to responsibilities and her commitment to helping others. She showed him a photo from a children's home where she had donated money and effort to build a playground after funding fell through. Richard observed the image closely, recognizing her genuine happiness. He commented on her generosity, but expressed concern for her health. Olivia responded firmly, emphasizing that children without support needed help, and she understood their struggles. Her determination reflected qualities Richard recognized deeply. He acknowledged her perspective and observed that she seemed to carry significant responsibility. Olivia agreed, explaining that helping others gave her purpose. Richard then asked about her dreams again. She described fragmented memories of a man reading stories with different voices, classical music playing, and a safe environment that later turned into fear. Richard recognized these details clearly but remained composed, suggesting they might be real memories. Olivia dismissed the importance, stating her past no longer mattered. When Richard suggested she might discover her identity, she responded that family is defined by those who remain, believing no one had searched for her. This affected Richard deeply, though he carefully stated that some people never stop searching. Olivia finished her coffee and left, advising that holding on to hope for too long could be harmful. After she left, Richard decided he needed certainty and contacted Adam, requesting a DNA sample. Adam warned him about the implications, but Richard insisted on knowing the truth. 3 days later, Adam confirmed he had obtained a sample from a coffee cup and that results would be ready soon. He also warned Richard about unusual attention from within his company, particularly from his sister Diane, who had been asking questions about his recent activities. This raised concern that someone involved in the past might still be monitoring him. Adam advised caution, suggesting that if Olivia was indeed Maddie, revealing her existence could put her in danger. Days later, Adam called with the results, urging an in-person discussion. When they met, he confirmed the DNA showed a 99.97% probability of a paternal match. Richard realized Olivia was his daughter. Overwhelmed, he reflected on the years she had lived without knowing her family, while he had remained unaware of her survival. As he prepared to tell her the truth, Adam stopped him, revealing new findings. Further investigation showed Diane had been in financial trouble at the time of the kidnapping and had received a large sum matching the ransom shortly afterward. This indicated she had orchestrated the event. Adam also identified the individual who carried out the kidnapping, Peter Sanders, who had later confessed informally. According to records, Sanders had not followed through with harming the child, but instead left her at a children's home, ensuring her survival. Diane, however, believed the child was gone. This meant Olivia had been alive all along without anyone knowing. Adam emphasized the importance of locating Sanders to secure a formal confession and build a strong case before revealing anything to Olivia. He warned that if Diane discovered the truth, she might attempt to eliminate any remaining risk. Richard agreed to proceed carefully, focusing on finding Sanders and protecting Olivia before taking any action. Meanwhile, in a motel near Albany, Peter Sanders reviewed a newspaper image showing Richard at an event. In the background, he noticed a woman whose appearance and posture seemed familiar. After closely examining the photo, he began to suspect that Richard had found his daughter, realizing that the truth he had hidden for 2 decades might soon come to light. Diane Blake believed the truth would remain hidden and that her past actions would never come to light, but that certainty began to fall apart. Peter Sanders, carrying years of guilt, finally reached out to Richard Whitmore, claiming he knew what had happened to Maddie and insisting they speak before it was too late. After a brief but intense conversation, Richard learned that his sister had carefully planned the kidnapping, providing inside information and intending for Maddie to be eliminated after the ransom was paid. However, Sanders admitted he could not go through with harming a child and instead left her somewhere safe, allowing her to survive under a new identity. As Richard processed this revelation, the danger escalated when Diane, suspicious of his recent behavior, confronted him while secretly monitoring his actions. Meanwhile, Olivia unknowingly became the target of a calculated trap disguised as a high-paying delivery job. Drawn by the promise of money, she arrived at an isolated warehouse where armed men attempted to capture her, forcing her into a desperate escape. Pursued through dangerous mountain roads, she faced a coordinated attack led by Diane herself, who revealed the truth during a tense confrontation. As memories began to return, Olivia realized her true identity as Maddie and understood the betrayal behind her past. In a critical moment, Richard reached her, confirming their connection, while Diane openly admitted her motives, driven by greed and resentment over inheritance. The situation reached a breaking point as it became clear that Diane had orchestrated everything, including the current attempt on Olivia's life. Determined to eliminate any remaining threat to her control and ensure her crime stayed hidden. Accidents are common in mountainous regions, especially involving truck drivers who operate under pressure and take risks. Diane continued to present the situation as a routine incident, treating serious harm as if it were an ordinary occurrence. She revealed that Adam had already been neutralized and positioned in a vehicle nearby, ensuring there would be no interference. Her plan accounted for every detail, framing the situation as a series of unfortunate but explainable events. She then explained to Olivia that Richard had never stopped searching for her over the past 2 decades, investing significant resources and time. However, Diane framed this persistence as a weakness, suggesting that his refusal to move on had ultimately led them to this moment. Richard responded by pointing out that Diane's actions were rooted not just in financial motives, but in deeper personal resentment and jealousy. This exchange caused a brief shift in Diane's composure before she regained control and escalated the situation by using force, injuring Richard in the process. Despite his injury, Richard remained focused on protecting Olivia, reinforcing his role as her father through his actions. As the situation intensified, Olivia processed years of confusion and loss, recognizing that her past and identity had been deliberately taken from her. Diane justified her actions as necessary for securing her own future, maintaining a calculated and detached stance. However, the situation shifted when Adam regained consciousness and intervened, successfully disarming Diane and stabilizing control of the scene. Emergency services were contacted, and Richard was transported for urgent medical care. During this time, he expressed that he had never stopped searching for Olivia, while she confirmed that fragments of her past had begun to return. This exchange reinforced their connection and clarified their shared history. Medical intervention proved successful, and Richard survived after critical surgery. In the following weeks, Olivia revisited her childhood home, where preserved memories helped her reconnect with her identity as Maddie, while still acknowledging the life she had lived as Olivia. Richard supported this dual identity, emphasizing that both experiences shaped who she had become. Moving forward, Olivia chose to remain connected to her previous work, while also embracing new opportunities that allowed her to stay closer to home. Richard contributed by supporting charitable efforts, particularly toward the institution that had cared for her during her childhood. Legal proceedings against Diane concluded with a life sentence based on substantial evidence, including recorded testimony and financial records. Olivia later addressed the court, focusing on resilience and the importance of support systems for vulnerable children, and announced the creation of an organization dedicated to assisting missing and exploited individuals. Over time, both she and Richard rebuilt their relationship, transitioning from separation to stability. On a personal level, Olivia reflected on her past experiences, acknowledging that her earlier life had shaped her independence, while her present circumstances provided clarity and belonging. Their reunion ultimately demonstrated that long-term separation does not eliminate familial bonds, and that identity can evolve while still remaining connected to its origins.